Just looking forward to get back out on the court on Saturday. I think Boston College is playing very well. Um, really impressed by what they did at state. Obviously had the ball with a chance to win. Down the stretch, Kai Bowman and Popovich and Mitchell, I think those three guys have been playing extremely well. Chapman as well. Chapman's an outstanding shooter. Obviously, Kai Bowman is just one of the better guards in our league. He can get his own shot almost any time. And Popovich, they've done a great job developing him. And one of those versatile bigs. Has some similarities to Eli in that he can dribble it from out on the floor and make some dribble plays for himself and others. But he also can shoot a three and presents a unique challenge for a guy that size and that skill set, having that kind of ability. So, but I'm just anxious for our guys to get back out there and try to get this thing turned around.
Brad, I know you guys put a lot of attention to playing defense. Do you think some of maybe your shooting lately is because maybe your guys are kind of tired on the offensive side? Maybe the legs are kind of going out a little bit on them?
That could certainly be a factor. There's no – it's obvious, I guess, that our bench hasn't been as good as we would like, and maybe some young guys haven't developed as much as we would like and trust them enough to give us significant minutes and significant productivity in games. And so there are times when some of our mainline guys are playing heavy minutes. And so because of that, there are probably some times that they're a little bit tired. And, more times than not, they probably are going to do a little bit of resting on offense. So it's certainly something we've talked about as a staff. We've talked about it a little bit with our players. Some of it is on us as coaches, continuing to develop our guys and trust our guys, our younger players, to play well and to give them more minutes. And then some of it's on our younger players. Our younger players need to play well. And when they have had opportunities, they need to go in there and capitalize. And, we're far enough into the season now that you should know what's going on. You should have played enough that you're past, all the butterflies all the time. And now you just need to go out and make plays and trust in yourself and your game. And that's something that we're, trying to get to, but sometimes that's easier said than done.
Is it their liabilities on the defensive end or the offensive end is why?
Some of it is just game to game. I mean, it's, there are strengths that certain guys have. I would say that, Hunter Tyson, there are certainly some games defensively where we're concerned about him. And Trey Jemison is a unique situation just because of how big he is. Some games he matches up well, like in Louisville against a big guy like Enoch. That's a good matchup for him to be physical with. In other games, it's harder. He's not polished enough as an offensive player yet to take advantage of situations where he has a mismatch in the other way. And, Javen is kind of a unique guy that a little undersized at the 5, and so sometimes it's harder for him when he's playing against a really big, strong guy. And other times he fits in nicely. So there's a little bit of ebb and flow with those guys. John Newman, I think, is probably more comfortable defensively right now and just has to relax offensively and understand things a little bit better. That's probably the nature of being a young player. I guess that's kind of what I would say about those guys.
Is Amir this year, is the hardest thing with him is trying to get him to believe he can be a post player? Seems like a lot of times he kind of
it's a fine line between, there are times we do wish that he had a nose more for going to the basket, but at the same time there are a lot of things that are set up in a way that put him on the perimeter because you need space in the post these days with the way teams guard anymore and doubling the post, scratching off guards, scratching off big men, playing halfway on guys that aren't great shooters. You put two guys down there anymore, and it's really hard for a single post player to be effective. And so you don't see as much too low post offense. In fact, off the top of my head, I don't think of anybody in our league that does that. NC State used to a little bit in the past. but there aren't a lot of guys playing that way. You know, even Phil Kofer's an example of a guy who has some size and length and could play around the basket area some, but because they don't want to clog it up for Cabin-Gelly and Kamaji, he's on the perimeter most of the time. And so I think it's as much anything, it's more giving space to one of your other players as it is, you know, discouraging a guy from being in there. And it's schematic in nature, and that you're opening the floor for your big player as opposed to bringing more people around them. And some of that's because of the nature of the way defensive changes. And defense have gotten better, more elaborate to take away low post scoring.
I know you guys probably focus game to game and don't worry about what's next, but is there any special attention to finishing the season, these last 5 games, strong?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't talk big picture a lot. I don't say we don't ever talk about NCAA tournament and all that, because we do, and our guys know. They pay attention on their own, so there's a lot of it we don't need to talk about too much, but we certainly mention it at times and understand that, you know, the great thing about playing in the ACC is there's always opportunities. Obviously, the challenging thing about playing in the ACC is there's always good teams to play. And, you know, if you can play well and handle your business, you got a chance to string along, you know, significant wins together. And that's what we're trying to do. You know, we did it a little bit earlier in the year, and we haven't done it the last couple of games. And, you know, we got to start with one. And so we just need to play a little bit better and try to finish a game, and we'll go from there.